All right. Welcome to another episode of the S.E.M podcast. Jack Bryce here again with Zach Hewlett. And tonight we're joined by Sister Heap, now Krista Nestman. How are you doing, Krista?
Hi, I'm good.
Where are you calling from?
I am in San Diego, California.
Nice.
All right. Southern California. A little different weather there than here right now.
Colorado, right?
Yeah.
That's right.
We
Yeah,
have
it's been
snow.
a little rainy, but
That's
Great.
true. It's true. California is trying not to fall off the map with all the rain they've had the last couple of weeks.
yeah, today was a good day. We had some sunshine though, so
That's good.
Nice. All right. Well, we'll start things like usual. We want to hear the story of how you decided to go on a mission, how you ended up in Scotland, anything leading up to that. Then we'll jump over the mission and review what life's been like since then, what you've been up to, and then we'll go back and reminisce for a little bit. So if you want to start us off with how you got your call.
okay. So I was talking to Lizzie about this because I think my story will be unique. I'll have to backtrack a little bit. When I was 19 was really when I had the urge to go on a mission. I had a big, important decision to make. And so I was really into my scriptures and praying and doing everything I can to make sure that I got the right direction. And, it was the Spirit that had tell me anything that I would make a good decision. And so that's really when I kind of got the love for all of those around me. And, friends started kind of falling away. And I was like, oh no, I genuinely wanted to bring them back. And so that's when I wanted to go on a mission. But at the time, couldn't go. When I was 19, I had to wait. And so I waited around, and then I met somebody and we dated, and I knew instantly that that's who I was supposed to marry. But things didn't work out. He broke up with me. I was devastated. And so by that point, I was 21 and I was like, I got to get out of here. Just get me out. And so I turned in my papers and got my call, and I opened it up. Edinburgh, Scotland. Had no idea, wasn't even thinking that would be somewhere where I would go. So I didn't really know anything about Scotland. And so I was just excited to get out. And I feel like I had the decision, maybe this isn't right, because I remember things wrong sometimes, but I feel like I was able to make the decision if I wanted to leave before Christmas or after. And I was like, get me out as soon as you can. And so I was in the MTC during Christmas. And do you want me to talk about the MTC?
Come back to the MTC, but that would have put you like December. I think the December 23rd is when that group went in, right? And at the very end of 2003.
Yeah. I just listened to McGowan, so I was with McGowan. Yeah, but we'll go back to that, you said?
Yeah.
Yep. So That's great. All right. So skipping ahead, you got home. Catch us up on what life's been like the last. We won't say how long. It's been a long time.
Yeah, well, part of the reason when you first asked me to do this, I had just turned 40, and that wasn't great. And I was thinking back on my life, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I have so many embarrassing moments, and now they want me to, I don't know, have another opportunity to embarrass myself. I don't want to do this. But anyway, so going home, is that what we're talking about?
Yeah. Okay. Coming home and what you've been up to.
Okay, so coming home, that boy that broke my heart and devastated me, he came back into my life. We got married.
Oh my God.
Yeah. So it was meant to be. I didn't have the faith, I guess. But I think I needed the mission. Was really good for me personally. But got married, moved the day after our marriage here to San Diego. And we have 4 kids now. And I recently started kind of homeschooling my kids, which I never thought I would do, but that's the blessing of COVID. And, so I'm teaching a history class with them. And anyway, yeah.
What ages are your kids? What ages, boys, girls?
So I have 3 boys and a girl. The oldest, Sid, is my boy. He's 14. And then I have Eliza, who's 13. I have George, who's 9, and Louis, who just turned 8.
That's awesome.
Awesome. That sounds like a lot of fun.
Yeah.
So, did you move to California because that's where your husband was from? Like, what took you to San Diego?
We both just wanted to get away. And who doesn't want to live in San Diego? And he had an uncle here that he was working with already. So that kind of got us started.
So you just been super mom since you got home from your mission, it sounds like?
Trying. Yep.
Oh, man.
Living the dream.
That's great.
Very
and
cool.
where were you before? Like, where'd you leave on your mission from?
Oh, Utah. Draper. Okay. My husband. Yeah.
Cool. All right. So now we can go back. MTC, companions with Jade McGowan in the MTC.
No. I was companions with the girl who called the missionaries in to give her a blessing because she was possessed.
Oh, that's right.
Yes, which that was a fun memory. Girl. I totally forgot about that. But I do remember. So I was companions with Sister Krista. She was going to Greece. But we were also in there with Clausen Muirhead, I think, was there. Willis. That's all I can remember.
Bautista.
Maybe. Oh, yeah.
Muirhead.
Bittner? Maybe. Was there a Bittner? I don't know. Maybe not.
I don't remember a Bittner.
It's a great group, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was a really good group. Yeah.
Any memories from the MTC?
The MTC was awful. I hated it. And one of my most embarrassing moments was in the MTC. I was so shy, so quiet, and they wanted me and exhausted from the jet lag. And I like to be on my own a lot, and I was never given that chance. Just a lot of new things for me. But I remember in one of the classrooms, I just lost it, like crying. I feel like the teacher was chastising me because I wasn't progressing and talking and doing what I was supposed to do. Tears, snot. It was so embarrassing. And I went to the bathroom. I remember the girls came with me to the bathroom trying to get it together. And I come back and I feel like the teacher just reamed me again. I'm like, oh my gosh, just trying to cover my face. And it was so embarrassing. So yeah, that's my big memory from the MTC.
All right, let's skip that quickly then. Get to Scotland.
I don't know that it'll get any better.
I don't know either. We'll find out.
Yep.
So, all right, take us into Scotland then. We generally just do a rundown of, who you served with and where and the time periods, and then any memories you have with each of those areas.
Okay. So my first area was Edinburgh, and I was with Sister Whitbeck. And so I didn't keep a journal until my last 6 months of my mission, which I think was a good thing, because looking back at my journal was not enjoyable. But so I was with Sister Whitbeck, and I think she was tired and she was done. And the way I remember it, I was excited and ready to go, and I felt like I was always kind of dragging her to get out the door. I was, ready to pray by the door in the morning, and I was just waiting. And so that was kind of not fun as a new missionary.
Was it her last 6 weeks then that you had her?
It might have been. I know it was I think it might have been.
Okay.
She was near the end.
Oh, that's tough.
Yeah. But then I got Sister McConkey, who, she's fun. Everyone said that. She was awesome and she was great. And let's see.
She said to say hi, by the way. I was messaging her and Jade McGowan tonight. She said to say hi. They both said to say hi to you.
They together? Yeah. I saw she was with Malin too.
That's right.
Yeah. Let's see what I have. McConkey. Oh, I don't want to say names, Yeah, one of the memories I have. So Scotland too was a huge culture shock for me. The smells, the looking over and the homeless, the things I would see, the homeless people. It was just so different from my little bubble in Utah. And so anyway, but one of the things I got a call. I was with Sister McConkey, and one of the less actives that we were teaching or visiting had called. As a grown man, and he was drunk and he was crying, and I have never experienced that before, having a grown man cry to me, let alone be drunk, so that was a little overwhelming. And but we have a lot of good memories. We had one night, we were probably maybe going home. It was dark. A drunk Scotsman again in Gaelic was singing to us, and that was fun. The first time I had ever heard of a labradoodle was with her. I can't remember who we were teaching, but this girl had a labradoodle, and Sister McConkey, I remember, thought that was the funniest thing she's ever heard, because a labradoodle. Anyway, I remember that. Let's see, I did have exchanges once where I was with Sister Bond. And with Sister Bond, we went knocking on some doors. We said a prayer before we went up these apartments, flats. And one of the doors we knocked on was this couple from Zimbabwe, and they let us right in. And I wasn't used to that, and I was really nervous, but we went in and we taught them. And did you ever serve in Edinburgh? Either of you? Okay. Well, it ended up being, for anyone that was there, Tina and Butler Mekadenge, and they were golden. We taught them. They came to General Conference and were baptized, and it was awesome. But we had to leave. I was transferred right before their baptism. But yeah, I met them with Sister Bond and then continued teaching them with Sister McConkey.
Wow, cool.
The White Crosses there, I'm sure they're always mentioned. They were great. I loved Fiona and her mom. So then I went over to Ayr. Did you guys, either of you, serve there?
I didn't make it that far south.
Okay.
I was in the same district, I think.
Okay.
For a little bit.
Ayr was my favorite area. There's so many characters and just good people over there. The O'Preys, the Gilardis. There's just lots of them. And so I was over there with Sister Hart, and she reminded me always of Nephi. She'd be at every door, and it's like she was dusting her feet off at the door. Like if they didn't want to listen to us, she'd at least bear her testimony. So they had the opportunity to hear what we were offering, and if they didn't want it, her hands were clean. I remember I was not an easy companion. I was very stubborn. Oh, and one of the things with Sister Whitbeck, I'll say my first companion is when we were first chapping doors, I was really scared and nervous to talk. And we played like a game of chicken where she knocked on the door waiting for me to talk, and I won. I'm not. Anyway, so a lot of my companions, I'm sure, dealt with that. I'm not afraid of silence. So anyway, Sister Hart, I remember we would have these, and I don't think I ever had them with any other companion. We had these missionary companionship. What are they called?
Inventory.
Yeah.
Yes. And she always wanted to sing a hymn, which I think she ended up always singing a solo. And and then she wanted to give things that we could do, inventory, I guess, of what each other could do better, what we're not doing so good at. And she would give me what I needed to do better. And I don't think I would say anything just because I didn't want to make it worse. I don't know. I didn't like the inventory. And so then after Sister Hart, I had Sister Bogomolova. From Ukraine, and Elder Bear and Elder Stratton were there as well. And and we got to meet and teach the Katenjis. Fatih was from Turkey, and Celestia was from America, and she was already a member. And so that was really neat that we were able to teach them, and I'm still in touch with them. I think they're in Washington now and still members and doing great as far as I know. Cool. I think Elder Bear baptized him in like a little stream or river. And anyway, wow. Well, my memory with that is he wanted us to sing at his baptism, and I'm not a singer. And so me and Sister Bogomolova, I'm sorry if I don't say it right, he wanted us to practice singing the song in front of him, and somebody was off key, and I'm sure it was me. And so then he had to sing a solo, and I don't know why I did it. I don't know why I do these dumb things, but I could tell by the look on his face. Yeah, I'm not the one in the right key.
They had you audition for the special number at his baptism.
Yeah, there's like 5 people there. Whatever.
Scotland's Got Talent.
Yeah. And I think one of my favorite zone activities was we did like capture the flag there with all the mission. Anyway, that was a fun memory. Another memory. This was actually with Sister Hart. Another shocking thing that I've never seen was we were walking in the middle of the day, and this man, young adult, comes walking out from like the grocery store, and he says, "Hey," kind of stops us. And I'm like, "Oh, hey, looks like you're bleeding. Your arms are bleeding." "Oh, yeah, I'm a heroin addict." And I'm like, "Oh, can I?" Anyway, so it was showing us all of his marks and the blood. And yeah, that was interesting.
Oh, man.
Did he ask you to help him, or he was just like, "Hey, hi, I'm bleeding. Nice to meet you"?
Yeah, just, "Hey, hi, you should come around. I think I've seen the missionaries before." And
oh my goodness.
Yeah, interesting. But I did love Air. Air was great. The only thing, my regret, I think, for my whole mission is that I was just so quiet and scared, and that I didn't get really good relationships with the people there. You know, that's my regret, because they were great. But anyway, moving on to Aberdeen, I was with Sister McGowan for 2 transfers, I believe it was. And yeah, the first 6 weeks were a lot of fun. They were awesome. And I appreciate the kind words that Sister McGowan said, because the last 6 weeks were rough. We parted ways. It wasn't great. But our first transfer was really awesome. So anyway, let's see.
She still loves you, though.
Yeah. Oh, and I don't even remember what it was. I remember kind of the feelings, but yeah, the feelings mutual. Our time together, we did have some good times, and I totally get where she's coming from. I know I wasn't easy, and it was stressful. And I think her way to deal with it was work, and mine was, I need to go take a nap. And so that kind of
that was a little contradictory.
Yeah, it's not going to work. But after her, I got Kippen, who was, I was trunking her out. And with Kippen, I was able to go and take a nap and rest if I needed to, because sometimes she needed that too. And sometimes we needed to just take a break and go get dinner, and it worked out fine. But some of the people that we taught in Aberdeen was Victoria. And she was really sweet. She was young, a Christian. Her parents weren't really for her joining the church, but I wasn't able to stay in touch with her, but I'm almost positive she did get baptized, and she clicked with the youth, I think, really well. And yeah, Lizzie and they're better at remembering the stories. I'm not as good. We had Elder Zinkowski there, Elder Manini, which they were my favorite to serve with. They were so fun. Elder McClure was around. Did you guys know Elder McClure?
Yep.
Yeah, we did.
Yeah, he was fun. I enjoyed him too. I remember we would always, every week we would have dinner. We'd be invited to dinner at a sister's house. and it was the elders and us that would go. And yeah, I don't know what it was interesting. It was fun. But there was also another.
Is this the house that I'm thinking of in the Bridget Dawn ward?
Yes, I don't know what to say.
The flat. I've already expelled all of that. I mean, it's the hoarder house, right?
Yes.
Oh
yes.
my goodness.
And there was a cat that had a big growth on it. And I
missed that. The cat must have died by the time I got there.
Lizzie and I got a picture of it. Yeah. Yeah, Zinkowski and I would go into the bathroom sometimes and we'd wash our plates and yeah.
Oh my gosh. I wish I would have known that before, because the missionary I was on exchanges at the time was like, okay, here's the lowdown. And if I had known that, I would have washed my plate too. But, first time for everything.
Either way. Yeah.
That is the reason why we bless the food.
Mm-hmm.
Is like that.
That helps.
Oh my gosh.
But there was one other time I remember another sister would take her spot like every 4 weeks or something. And I remember going there. I want to say it was in Zinkowski and Brownlow and me and Kenny. And she was making rice pudding. And I remember Lizzie was so excited to have this rice pudding. And we're all sitting around and we realized that it was burnt or something, but it was hard. Like you couldn't even get your spoon or fork into it.
Oh
and I remember, I think it was Elder Brownlow took one for the team. He was the only one that ate it. But
oh my gosh.
Air, I can't forget too, the home of Robbie Burns, and we were there for Burns night where they did brought the haggis in, and so that was really cool.
That would be really cool.
Let's see. Oh, okay. So I had McGowan Kippen and Sister Kenny, who I loved. She was great. And she was so easy to train and just easy to be with. She mentioned a story with the puddle that she thought it was with Malin, and maybe it happened. Maybe it's just what happens when you're with Sister Kenny. But I remember that same thing happened to me. We were waiting for a bus and it passed and the water just splashed and got all over me. And I was ready to scream and stomp and go on home. And she just laughed. And it totally changed my whole, yeah, this is funny. I can laugh, she's just so good to be with. And yeah, she was awesome.
That's too good.
But yeah, I don't know. My memory really isn't great. I wish I could remember more.
An activity that Zach and I were on, that you were on, was at Slains Castle. It was one of those.
Oh, I did have that in my journal. That was fun.
Yeah, Slains Castle became a regular thing because I got trained by Jack and Peterhead, and then I was later in the Aberdeen Zone Leader area. So we went up to Slains a lot. It was just such a cool place.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And we learned recently. I'm trying to remember who told us this, but apparently it's private property. And so every time we went, we were trespassing, and we had no idea.
Oh.
So, just us boys being boys, I guess.
I don't remember seeing any signs or anything. I don't know.
I don't think we did either.
Yeah.
At least not that we paid attention to.
Yeah. So then let's see, after Aberdeen was Dundee, and I was whitewashing it with Sister Crookston.
This is where Zach's story comes in.
Oh, let's hear.
Okay, so Jack and I had both been whitewashed. Like, they closed the area in Peterhead. And did Sister Kenny stay in Bridget Dawn?
Yes, I think so.
So I remember we were on the bus. It was all three of us, because I was going to Dunfermline, you were going to Dundee, and Jack, where were you headed after Peterhead?
Falkirk.
Okay. So we're all on the bus. And mind you, at point in time, it was like maybe early April. And you were sitting like in the seat just in front of me. And we were on the side of the bus that the sun was shining on. And you leaned back and you said, "Do you think I can get a tan through the window of the bus?" I couldn't help but laugh because I was like, probably not, but you were very concerned with your tan. I
I've
was
never
like,
not seen the sun that long in my life.
well, I mean, I can understand that. All of us experienced it. We probably
Yeah.
all came home and looked like ghosts because there was no such thing as the sunshine for many periods of time. But I just thought it was funny. It was an impressionable moment that I couldn't forget or not share with you tonight. It was pretty funny.
Yeah, see where my priorities were.
No, it's all good.
Yeah, so Dundee, yeah, went with Crookston.
Do you remember what ward you were in? Was it the Bingham Road Chapel and then the Lith Road Chapel? So it was either the Stake Center or the small building.
Did you serve there?
I mean, they served around there, so I didn't. I'm just curious which ward, because I was in Montrose for a long time after that and got to know a lot of the people in the Dundee stake.
I feel like it wasn't the Stake Center.
Okay.
If you name like the Veals, and so were they the smaller one?
I believe so. Yeah, I think they've been mentioned in the Lift Road because you had them, and I think the Keoghs were in that ward.
Yes.
Okay.
That was one of my memories. Was the oldest Keogh was in the Young Men's at the time, and he had organized this Bomb Dundee, BOM, Book of Mormon, where he was going to get all the youth to go into the city center and just hand out Book of Mormons one Saturday afternoon. And that was really cool. We did that, and the youth did awesome. And we as missionaries would go with them, and they were just handing out back. And I just remember being so impressed with the youth. Everywhere we went there, just their courage and their confidence. And I just thought that was really neat. Yeah, the Keoghs were such a good family. They were really good. Another embarrassing moment was with the Veals. And so Sister Crookston wasn't a big talker either. So both of us together wasn't great. But we had a dinner appointment with the Veals, and she was supposed to give the spiritual thought. And so it was an awkward dinner because neither of us talk much. And then I was waiting for her to give the spiritual thought before we left. And I kept kind of nudging her. And I don't know if she forgot or what was going on, but that appointment was 2.5 hours that we stayed at their house.
Oh my gosh.
And even more embarrassing was then here over in California, I was in the same ward and friends with a girl that went to college and was friends with Angela Veal. And so I'm sure she heard that wasn't a good connection. I'm sure the one memory that Angela had of me was not great. Anyway.
The quiet sister missionary. Oh dear.
So
that's a long dinner appointment, 2.5 hours.
Well, now when I have the missionaries, I can relate and I understand. Like you can be here an hour and then go on.
Get out.
Yeah. So
Man.
Oh my gosh. I know I was telling Lizzie, I didn't age or learn gracefully. I'm a slow learner. But we had some good people that we taught there. We had the Haddons and the McKelveys, and the Haddons were those pass-along cards. They called the number. They were an older couple, and they were really, really sweet. And his wife had dementia, I think. But and I left before. I did hear he got baptized, but I left before that, and he would always play the piano if I heard correctly. But that was really sweet. And then we had a family, the McKelveys, that we taught a lot. And unfortunately, I don't think they got baptized, but they were a neat family as well. I invited them to come to sacrament meeting when I was speaking. And I thought I was being really clever. And I had this like top 5 reasons of, like David Letterman, of why I love the Book of Mormon. And there was a high council that came. They didn't know it, or something was off with the schedule. So I really didn't have to speak. I didn't really need to use very much time. And now, like, oh, awesome. I'll just bear my testimony and I'll sit down. Well, I didn't realize that back then, and I had the McKelveys that were there, and so I gave my talk, and it was going on for so long, and it was horrible. And when I sat down, one of the members of the bishopric, he's like, "You better stick with volleyball," because we would play volleyball with like investigators, and like there was mumbling of like horrible, like, "Oh, that was awful," and so that was really embarrassing too. Uh, but yeah, so those are just kind of my memories. There's my mission. And and the Vriens.
Wait, before you go on to the Vriens,
Okay.
we talked with Caleb Sprague, and he brought up the water fight. Do you remember?
I think Lizzie brought that up too.
So what was your? Because again, when we talked with Lizzie and we talked with Marin, they alluded to the fact that you guys knew that there was going to be a water fight. So that's the reason why you guys showed up with water guns. Is that true?
I don't even remember. I honestly didn't even remember until I heard Lizzie say it, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember that." But I don't even know. We had water guns. I have no idea.
I mean, you guys came prepared. We showed up for a zone activity and thought we were just going to a barbecue, and then we got completely ambushed by the missionaries throwing water balloons from the top level of their, high flat or whatever it was, But and you guys came prepared. So I just was curious if you had
we must have
someone had told you or you had a tip or something, because the rest of us were just getting killed.
Yeah, someone must have told us. I don't remember, but I would assume so if we were prepared.
My thought is you probably blacked it out, because I remember we were taking a group picture and somebody burst a water balloon over your head.
Oh, great.
It was probably Caleb, so we'll blame him.
Okay. Yeah, I think I remember seeing a picture, but yeah.
Yeah, I could send you a picture. I'm sure you'd be like, "Oh yeah, I kind of remember that," but it's all good. It's not important. I was just curious if you came ready to fight with your water guns, or if it was just whatever.
Yeah. We'll say I came prepared.
Awesome.
All right. So now you can tell us about the Vriens. What memories you have, President Sister Vriens?
Sister Vriens was great. I remember she would do like that pig nose. I don't know if that was just one devotional. And then President Vriens. I wasn't so sure about him. There was times when we would have our interviews where I would go in. I remember especially at the beginning, and I would just cry to him. And if reading through my journal, I'm like, man, I was really lonely. But so I would go and kind of, I guess, express that to him and trying looking for help or comfort. And I remember he said, "Well, sister, you'll do great." And he'd open the door, and here I am, like a mess. And I'm like, "Oh my gosh, how embarrassing!" Like no comfort, just sending me on my way, a complete mess. And so I don't know. My feelings were a little mixed with him. I wasn't sure. I was like, does he even care about me? I don't know. Yeah. So I don't know. I didn't have any strong feelings. It wasn't even until the very end of the mission when he said goodbye and he gave me a hug. And I can't remember exactly what he said. I go more off of feelings, but it was finally where I'm like, oh, I think he actually does care about me and he likes me. But that was when I was saying goodbye. So, yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting hearing your side of the story, and like Sister McGowan just the other week, listening to her side of the story. When I served around you guys, and I talked on her podcast too, right? To me, you guys were just so cool. I never got the impression that you were quiet and reserved and had anything like that. So to me, the impression that you guys made on me anyway was that sister missionaries are all right, and I think that comes across in the level of like the things you remember and the people you taught. Like every sister we've talked to, pretty confidently can say they outdid the elders. Like, so even though it may not seem like that, looking back, we've done over 50 of these podcasts now, and listening, I really enjoy speaking to you sisters and hearing your experience. And I know the impression that you left on me. So thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate that. I feel like I was a lot more comfortable with when we would get together with all the elders and do zone activities. And all the elders that I served around were awesome. And I enjoyed that time.
All right. Well, you can help us out because quite a few of your companions, we've had a few of them on. There's a few we haven't had on yet. So if you're still in contact with them, share this episode when it's published with them and invite them to volunteer to come on. We know you were reluctant to join us, and we're glad you did.
Yeah, I'm not going to share it. I'll tell you that right now. I'm not advertising this.
Okay. That's your prerogative. We're going to share it.
I'll tell Lizzie. You can share it. I'll tell Lizzie, but that's about it.
That's good. Lizzie will share it with the rest of them, I'm sure.
Yeah, like Jack said, I mean, you had a great impression on a lot of missionaries, and many people have requested to hear from you. So I'm sure they'll be happy to see that you came on and chatted with us, and I'm sure you'll be a very popular podcast to listen to.
Mm-hmm. Well, I've enjoyed listening to everyone else, so that's kind of where I'm like, I guess I'll do it. So I'm not just taking. I'll try and give something back.
Good job. And anybody listening who wants to be on, you can reach out to us. You can fill out a form on 51spylaw.com or email us directly, S.E.M podcast at 51spylaw.com. We'll be glad to have you on. We're already booked through the first quarter of this year. So anybody who wants to come on, get on the list. We're filling it up.
Yeah, otherwise it'll be December by the time you get on here.
Yep. But thank you, Krista. We really appreciate it. You'll always be one of our sisters in Scotland.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. Thanks again, Krista. Have a great night.
All right, you too. Bye.
Bye.